Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Authority Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Modesta Mahiga. One of the biggest misconceptions in leadership is that trust is something you can ask for. It isn't. Trust is something you earn. In fact, I go one step further. Trust isn't even an emotion. It's a risk calculation. Think about every significant opportunity you've ever wanted: a board appointment, a promotion, an executive role, a major client, an investor, a keynote invitation, or a strategic partnership. None of those opportunities happens in isolation. Somewhere behind every one of them is a person who has the power to say, I know someone. When they say those 4 words, they're putting far more than your name on the line. They're putting their own reputation on the line. That is why endorsement is so valuable. It is also why it is so rare. People spend years, even decades, building trust with their colleagues, clients, boards, investors, governments, and communities. They're not going to jeopardize those relationships by attaching their name to someone they're uncertain about. That is why qualifications alone are never enough. Selection follows endorsement. Endorsement follows trust. And trust is built long before the opportunity arrives. Today, I want to share what I believe are the 5 non-negotiables of trust. These are the foundations that reduce uncertainty, increase confidence, and make authority stakeholders more willing to open doors on your behalf. Vision. Can they see where you're leading? The first non-negotiable is vision. Most people think vision exists to inspire followers. I think its first purpose is much more practical. Vision reduces uncertainty. Authority stakeholders want to know where you're going before they decide whether to go there with you. If your direction is unclear, your decisions become difficult to predict. If your decisions are difficult to predict, perceived risk increases. And when perceived risk increases, trust decreases. The leaders who consistently earn trust communicate their vision long before they ask for support. Their thinking is visible. Their priorities are consistent. Their purpose is unmistakable. People don't have to guess what they stand for. Ask yourself this question. If you weren't in the room, could the people who know you clearly explain your vision? If they can't, your authority stakeholders probably can't either. Values. Can they predict your character? The second non-negotiable is values. Competence may earn admiration, but character earns trust. Every leader eventually faces pressure. The real question isn't whether pressure will come. It will. The question is what pressure will reveal. When authority stakeholders evaluate leaders, they aren't only asking whether someone can perform. They're asking whether someone can be trusted when circumstances become difficult. Will this leader choose integrity over convenience? Will they protect the institution over their own interests? Will they tell uncomfortable truths when everyone else remains silent? Values answer those questions before they're ever needed to be tested. The more consistently your values are demonstrated, the more predictable your leadership becomes. And predictability is one of the strongest drivers of trust. Value. Do you consistently improve outcomes? The third non-negotiable is value. This is where many accomplished leaders unintentionally weaken their own authority. They spend too much time describing what they do and too little time demonstrating what changes because they did it. Authority stakeholders aren't investing in activity. They're investing in outcomes. Every board wants stronger governance. Every CEO wants stronger performance. Every client wants measurable results. Every investor wants returns. Every government wants impact. Trust grows when people repeatedly see evidence that your involvement makes things better. Not occasionally, consistently. Results reduce uncertainty because they give people confidence that future performance is likely to resemble past performance. Visibility. Can people verify what you bring? The fourth non-negotiable is visibility. One of the most expensive myths in leadership is that good work speaks for itself. It doesn't. Good work only speaks after someone notices it. Visibility is often misunderstood as self-promotion. It isn't. Visibility simply makes your evidence discoverable. If authority stakeholders cannot see your thinking, your expertise, your leadership, or your impact, they have very little information upon which to build trust. Visibility isn't about being everywhere. It is about showing up consistently where your authority stakeholders are already paying attention. That is the difference between marketing yourself and building authority. Authority leaves evidence. Validation. Have trusted people already trusted you? The fifth non-negotiable is validation. If visibility allows people to see you, validation gives them confidence in what they see. Validation comes from trusted third parties. Recommendations, appointments, testimonials, published work, awards, media interviews, speaking invitations, strategic partnerships. These aren't simply accomplishments to list on a resume or LinkedIn profile. They're trust signals. Every one of them answers a question that every authority stakeholder asks. Has anyone I respect already trusted this person? Validation doesn't replace competence. It amplifies confidence. Trust is cumulative. What makes these 5 non-negotiables so powerful is that they work together. Vision tells people where you're going. Values assure them they can trust your judgment. Value demonstrates your capability. Visibility allows others to verify it. Validation confirms that trusted people have already placed confidence in you. Together, they reduce uncertainty. And reducing uncertainty is exactly what trust does. Trust doesn't eliminate risk. Leadership will always involve risk. But trust makes that risk feel acceptable. That is why authority compounds over time. Every promise you keep, every ethical decision you make, every result you deliver, every insight you share, every endorsement you earn, each one becomes another piece of evidence that someone can safely place their reputation alongside yours. Here's a thought I want to leave you with. Many leaders believe the next opportunity will be won during the interview, the board presentation, the investor meeting, or the proposal. I don't think that's where most important decisions are made. By the time those moments arrive, authority stakeholders have often spent months or even years collecting evidence about whether you are someone they can trust. The interview doesn't usually create trust. It confirms it. The presentation doesn't establish authority. It reveals whether you've already built it. That's why trust cannot be manufactured at the last minute. It has to be engineered intentionally, long before opportunity arrives. So don't wait until you're applying for the next role, pursuing the next client, or seeking the next appointment to start building trust. Start today. Clarify your vision. Live your values. Create undeniable value. Become visible where your authority stakeholders are paying attention, and deliberately accumulate the validation that tells the world others already trust you. Because without trust, there is no endorsement. Without endorsement, there is no selection. And without selection, even the most qualified leaders can spend years wondering why opportunity keeps passing them by. If today's episode challenged the way you think about authority, I'd encourage you to take the next step. Book an executive authority diagnostic with Authority Global. The link is in the description. Together, we'll assess how authority stakeholders are likely to perceive you across the dimensions that determine trust, endorsement, and selection. We'll identify where your authority is strong, where trust may be breaking down, and what you need to strengthen so that opportunities you deserve become the opportunities you selected for. Because qualifications may earn consideration. Trust earns endorsement. Endorsement earns selection. And that's how authority is built. Until next time, I'm Modesta Mahiga, and this is the Authority Advantage Podcast.